right, so I have my squad here, my all-star team. We have Sim, who is an apologist. Granted, he's an expert in Islam. He's not a Muslim. He's a Christian who was a Muslim. So but I'm pretty sure he bumps into atheists in the street all the time. And we have Smokey Saint, who needs no introduction, right? We have people that are gonna come in. Well, Smokey, you can go ahead and introduce yourself. That was pretty rude of me.
No, you're fine, man. No, absolutely. No, I don't need an introduction. You're absolutely right. Not for status or any other reason whatsoever, including the fact that my infamy tends to precede anything anyone might see about me here on this channel. So, yeah, man, thank you so much for having me yet again. I really, really do appreciate it. It's a pleasure to join you on your channel yet again, man. Thank you for your generosity and being so kind to have me here, man.
Absolutely. And so we have Danny who's gonna come, and we have a couple of people here who will challenge our beliefs. We are Christians. I see somebody in here, but I don't know if he's on your side or my side.
Does it say Jovan?
Yeah.
That's a friend of mine. He's an atheist.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we'll have people on. Danny is sharing his the link to various people across the board. And in no time, as soon as you guys get in here, we'll have a productive dialogue between some of our atheist fellow human beings, because they're not brothers in Christ, right? I got rebuked for that.
We're barely human, right?
No. I mean, I called the atheist the brother, and somebody said, "How dare you do that? You're exposed." So our fellow human beings, with good ethics, right? Because some of these guys have good ethics, right? I mean, they're not all bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like this whole stigma that you're an evil atheist. I don't like that. I want to have productive conversations. With that said, here are the rules. There will be no cursing on this channel. Please reserve the bad language. Smokey, I know sometimes,
Yeah, you can reserve that. Bring it over to my channel. I'll let you guys say whatever you want.
Yeah. Smokey has the rated R channel, but not on this channel. You know what I'm saying? On this channel, you're not going to be yourself. You're going to be a nice version of yourself. So, please reserve the F-bombs and the curses and all that stuff. Please, not on this channel, even if you get passionate, please. The topic here is this: is God a moral monster? We know that atheist, I named it that because that's one of my favorite books, Danny. It's God a Moral Monster. It's a Christian book. But anyways, it was recommended by my favorite.
Is that Paul Copan? The Paul Copan, Kopa?
Yeah. It was recommended highly by my favorite apologist. Who I can't remember his name right now. The one I always quote and I steal his argument.
Not James White.
No, the other one.
Oh, Frank Turek.
Frank Turek always tells us to read that book. He goes, and by the way, I recommend a book. Is God a moral monster? It answers all your questions. So again, so that is why I titled this. That's the inspiration. But is God a moral monster? Many atheists believe that he is. And so we are going to have a productive dialogue here. If you're an atheist or you know someone that's an atheist, please have them come in. Somebody said, please share the link, but the link is already in the description box. So all you got to do is click on the description box, all right? All right. So, Javon, introduce yourself, man. And Danny, of course, you'll be a part of this. For those who don't know Danny is an atheist himself, studies philosophy, etc., all that good stuff. All right, Javon, who are you?
How you doing, buddy? My name is Jovan, obviously. I'm a friend of Danny's. Mostly I just talk to and discuss topics with people on Discord and sometimes YouTube, I guess. I'm an atheist, if you want to call me that, depending on what you find an atheist as, I guess. And that's pretty much it.
Jovan, I'm pretty sure I recognize you from the politics and religion server. Used to be given Darth Dawkins the business. Am I picturing the same guy, or is that someone different?
Yes, sir, probably.
Okay, all right, gotcha. Okay.
All right, Sim, do you want to introduce yourself? I gave you a very crappy introduction.
My name is Sim. I'm a street preacher, and I'm in Christ Forgiveness Ministries, and I've been saved for about 2 years. I grew up in a Christian home, but I didn't take my faith seriously until I was 18. All my life I thought I knew God, but I heard the true gospel at the age of 18, and I became a radical Christian. Changed my whole life. Had to let go of a few people and just completely changed. And yeah, that's really quick summary.
All right. Amen. All right, Javon, you want to get us started? Why are you an atheist? What do you disagree with in the faith? Do you believe God is a moral monster? Do you believe that God is unethical? What is your stance? Get us started.
You're muted, Jovan.
Oh, thank you. Why am I an atheist is the first question. I'm an atheist because what people call gods and what people have defined as gods, I've not been convinced of by them, and I've had various arguments presented to me, and I've read various arguments that convinced me against those certain things, whether it be logical contradictions or just evidence against the positions. So when I say something like I'm an atheist, all I really mean to say there is that these things that people have called gods in the past or presently, I do not currently believe in, and I would like for them to show me some reason to believe in them other than the ones they presented that I found to be non-persuasive.
All right.
Can I just real quick, Jovan? That kind of sounds like lacktheism, not atheism.
Well, like I said, you can call it whatever you want, right?
Well, but do you have? Well, then you're just agnostic, and I just would like to kind of be clear.
Well, it's like this. So the omnipotent, all good, all-knowing God, I just take to not exist. So you could call me an atheist in that sense.
Well, no, but I'm saying, like, do you have a positive argument for your statement of belief? I believe no God exists.
Well, when you say no God exists, right? That's my problem.
I'm just saying, like, is your justification for no God exists because no God? I have not been convinced of any argument for a God. Is that basically where you're going to?
Well, again, you might think I'm being pedantic when I say something like this, but there's a problem when you say something like, "Do you think that no gods exist?" Because I've had people come in here and say things like, well, your God's your belly, right? Do you believe in your belly? Okay, well, you believe in a God, so you can't be an atheist then in that sense, right? So I know that sounds silly, but the problem is when you talk about gods, you're going to have to define them in specific ways because a lot of people's definitions of a particular God are going to be contradictory, right? So all I say when I say I'm an atheist is that I have not been convinced of anything that
Okay, I don't think you're following me, Jovan. I'm sorry, but I just not to beat around the bush here real quick. Do you have an argument to justify the belief that no gods exist? Yes or no?
Again, I don't think if you re-ask me the question after I explained it in that fashion, I don't think you're understanding my explanation. But
you're just saying I don't have evidence.
I can answer you like this. I have arguments against.
I'm just looking for you to be honest about when you
have arguments against.
Dude, hold on. I don't think you're following me. I don't know if you're really, really following it. I'm just looking for you to have an argument for atheism or if you're just an agnostic. I'm just seeing if we're starting on a philosophically sound footing right away, or if you're just going to start defining things by what makes you comfortable. That's all I'm trying to get at.
Well, no, again, I have arguments against conceptions of the Christian God, such as the argument from evil.
Argument from evil. Okay.
Okay.
Right. No, it's okay. I'll yield. Go ahead.
That's a little rude, but okay.
All right. So evil. Okay. So what about God do you see as evil? Let me answer this question real quick before we even move forward. Hey guys, can someone help me understand something I'm struggling with? As God is all-knowing, does that mean he already knows who's going to hell before they're born, which gives them no chance? God knows all things because of his foreknowledge, but that doesn't mean they didn't have a chance. It just simply means God knew, and they are a person that went to hell on their own fruition because they chose to go there. God just simply knows.
Yeah, look up William Lane Craig explaining the modal scope fallacy of foreknowledge, and that will help you out a bit. I think that would be my recommendation.
Mm-hmm. All right. Somebody said Calvinism states that God only chooses and saves a select few. I am not a Calvinist.
I would add, like there's a post I wrote a while ago. I wrote that mankind was created for the pleasure of God, and God has no pleasure in wickedness, right? Therefore, mankind was not created to be wicked, and I also wrote mankind was created for the pleasure of God. God is pleased when men live holy. Therefore, mankind was created to be holy. Mankind was created for the pleasure of God. God takes no pleasure in the death of the wicked. Therefore, mankind was not created to be damned. That's my answer to that question.
Before we move, I want to, JP, could you share my screen? I wanted to recommend a T-shirt in case you are a Calvinist. So I just, this is a very popular T-shirt if you're a Calvinist. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
That's funny.
That is funny.
Yeah. All right. So, what would you say, Javon? Really quickly, what is one of the things that you view? What is your stance with the problem of evil?
You're muted, Javon.
Mm-hmm.
I keep thinking I have push to talk. I'm so used to Discord. But so I take the primary evil to be an internal critique against a specific view of the Christian God, that he is all powerful, all knowing, and perfectly good, with the conjunction that he's also there's also evil that exists. I take that.
So basically, Javon, you're saying that a God that is all knowing, all powerful, there cannot be evil with that kind of God.
Well, no, you have to also have that he's perfectly good, because
Okay.
it could be an evil God that's all knowing and all powerful, and then evil wouldn't be a contradiction, right?
Okay, so
The contradiction arises.
there cannot be evil in a world with a perfectly good God.
Right. If he's also all knowing and all powerful. The reason for that would be that if God's an omnipotent being, he'd be able to prevent all that evil in the world, right? If he's knowing, he would all knowing, he would be able to know how to prevent all the evil.
But
if
I
he's
wouldn't
perfectly
say,
good, he would want to prevent all the evil.
yeah, but I wouldn't say, I would just make the argument that God could be all of those things and simply allow humans to have free choice, and the absence of God is evil, right? The absence of good is evil. So I wouldn't go as far as to say that simply because God is all-knowing and he created humanity and he knew what would happen and he is a good God, that God is evil as a result.
Do you think that being free means you necessarily would choose evil?
I believe that if you're free, we have choice, and choice is in the choices we have, you could choose good or evil.
Right, but that doesn't necessitate that you will choose evil. You could have free choices and always choose good, right?
It depends how you define that. I mean, I wouldn't go as far as to say that if there's a world where there is only good and you have no option to choose evil.
No, you have the option. It's just
Okay.
that you don't. Now
So
think about it.
I'm not following.
I can give you an example. So, well, the easy example would be God, right?
Okay.
I would assume you think that God has free will, right?
Okay.
And God only commits good actions. God does not commit an evil act, right?
Yeah, because God is good.
Right. So
God does not have
having free will doesn't necessitate that you choose evil, right?
Okay, continue on.
But you still have the ability to choose good. So there's possible worlds in which all agents have free will, yet no agent chooses evil. Now, if there's a possible world where that's the case, then there's no logical contradiction with God choosing that world. Now, if God doesn't choose that world.
God created a world in which we can choose evil, or we could choose bad, or we could do good. So I'm saying,
right, but that's the same world. That's also encompassed within that world.
Yeah, but I'm saying we're here now, so I don't get it. You're talking about a world.
Right, that's where the contradiction comes in.
I wouldn't say that's a contradiction if God has created us as human beings with the ability to choose good or choose evil.
Well, no, that's not the contradiction. The contradiction comes in when it's the case that you allow for the fact that there is a world where this God could have chosen for us all to be perfectly free, because the answer to this problem was that you have free will. That's why there's evil, but that doesn't explain why there's evil, because we can have free will and there cannot be evil. So there must be some reason God chose this particular world over the other set of worlds that it was possible, right? Now, if God chose a world that had evil in it as opposed to a world that did not have evil in it, well, I don't take that to be what it means to be perfectly good, because a perfectly good God would always choose the best possible world, because he would desire the best possible world.
Go ahead. You were saying
something. What do you mean by like different worlds? Like We're living on
Possible
Earth.
world. Well, I would assume that you.
Like, what do you mean? Like,
Well, I assume that you would take it to be the case that when God made the world initially, before He did that, it was just God, right? There was that's nothing outside of God. It was just God before He created anything.
When he says possible worlds, he means like possible scenarios. So like if you go to the store and you're choosing between 5 cereals, there are 5 possible scenarios you could make true. Like you buying that cereal, this other cereal, so these all these possibilities, and each of those possibilities represent a scenario or a world.
Right. To say that you're a free agent is to say it's the case that before you choose to eat Fruity Pebbles over Frosted Flakes, it could be the case that you eat either one of those. So there's a possible world where you eat Frosted Flakes.
Yeah, but here's the problem. Here's the problem. God chose to make the world this way. I don't think that makes God any less good. God made a world in which we can choose Him or we can choose evil. That is it. This is the way that He made it, right? Like this is the world that He programmed. And so you want the world, or you say God will be moral if He made the world another way, which is a world in which we only have the option to choose good. But God made a world.
No. Sorry. But that's not. We do have the option to choose bad evil. It's not that we only have the option. It's just that we don't.
It's always funny when I hear an atheist make the claim that a universe of slaves is a more moral reality.
I would just say that if anyone starts a sentence with "this is funny" or "it's funny when," it's not going to be a substantive comment.
Did you not hear the substance in it? Did you miss it? That the idea that it's funny how an atheist who spends all their time talking about the moral problems of the Bible permitting and allowing for slavery, and the first thing you go to as a more moral universe is a universe full of slaves that are incapable but doing the thing that abides by the rule and authority of the Creator. Do you really not see the hilarity in that position?
I would just like to appeal to both Sim and just JP.
So because I gave it an introductory thesis, then therefore it has no substance, or did what I just say kind of have some substance? Well, no, I'd like you to address your charge.
I would just like Sim and JP. Sorry, I almost cussed there.
Could you answer what I said?
Well, you kept interrupting me, and now I forgot where I was going.
The hilarity of the position you just took. Could you answer that?
What was the position I just took?
The position that the more moral reality is the reality where God created nothing but a bunch of autonomous slaves that could do nothing but choose to do things that pleased Him.
Okay, there we go. Thank you. That's what I needed.
There you go. Okay, go ahead.
Sam and JP, isn't it the case that I had stated verbatim twice already that they aren't slaves, that they do have the ability to choose otherwise? They do have free will. I've said that multiple times.
Bro, so you're saying that you want a world where we could only choose good, but then you could.
I'm not saying I want anything. This is not about what I want.
But I'm not following your example, because I already responded by saying that we're in this world and this is the way God made it, and we have the ability to choose good or we have the ability to choose evil. So I want you to tell me how this world that we live in makes God a moral monster.
Well, that's fine. Well, I never said God was a moral monster.
Okay, how does that make God unjust or not all powerful? If you want to,
that just makes it such that I'm just saying that it can't be the case that He's omniscient, or more powerful, and all-knowing. But I just want to stick on what Smokey said.
Wait, slow down.
I was accused of something. I would like to.
Well, that was Smokey. Hold on, that was.
But that's why. But then I appealed to you just for your recollection of what I said.
Okay, not a problem. So I'll respond right after. But let me just, that is my stance. I want to know how us living. Whenever you get to me, I want to know how us living in this world and God giving us the ability to choose to do good or to choose to do evil, us being free creatures, there is evil in this world, how this makes God less powerful, less all-knowing, and less good. That's my question.
That's fine. And I promise I'll answer any question you have for me.
Okay.
I promise.
Go ahead.
So is it the case that when I appealed to you multiple times, I even corrected you multiple times while you were talking?
Go ahead. Disregard.
No. I'm not talking about. I'm appealing to you because of something that Smokey said. I'm just demonstrating.
Yes. You think it is a more? Dude, let me repeat it again.
I'm appealing to show you that Smokey Saint's claim as to what I said is incorrect, and I never actually said it. And I even clarified multiple times that didn't.
You take this. Jovan, I heard
Fuck
you.
you.
You
Why
said
you keep interrupting me?
why couldn't God, a good God, create a reality where only people can choose to do good? So that means that every choice
I never
is
said that.
only on the spectrum.
Yeah, he
of,
never
never said
said that.
that.
He said that why can't God actualize a world in which you always do the good? That doesn't
Yeah.
mean that you could have not done otherwise.
I think that's just a bit of confusion because we're not really understanding.
Well, how does that
is
work,
saying.
Danny? Because in this reality where only good can manifest, that means every free will decision has to either conclusionarily or on its face be good.
I guess I'm confused, but maybe we can use an example, right?
Yeah,
It could be a world in which I always choose Fruity Pebbles, but that doesn't mean that therefore I could have not chosen otherwise, right? So in the same way, there could be a world in which we always choose the good. Doesn't mean we could have not done otherwise.
Well, then it's not free will, Danny, because then the
Yeah.
agent doesn't have any
What?
power over it.
But
No,
that's to say that God
Because
doesn't have free will.
basically, in order for what you're presenting to be an actualized reality, there would have to be basically the creation of free will, but as an illusion. There would be no actual agency action to dictate it. You're actually talking about a very rigid, predetermined.
I think we all agree, though. Maybe the sufficient conditions for free will is that we could have done otherwise, right? Is that not the condition?
But in an actualized sense, not just in a potential sense. You're saying that where the actions to not do good are always infinitely purely potential, never actualized. So it's impossible for them to actualize. If it's impossible for them to actualize, then they're not even potential for that reality.
I'm sort of missing what you're saying. I think all I'm saying is this: you chose to be in this part of this conversation. The fact that what it means to say that you were free is that you could have done otherwise. That's all I take to mean to say. Now, let's suppose that every time JP sent you a link, you joined the conversation. That means you always join the conversation, given the link. Does not mean that you could have not done otherwise. And this is what Jovan is saying, that you always choose the good. Doesn't mean you could have not done otherwise. You could have done otherwise.
Well, no, but now you need the ontological reason of why it is that I always choose to do good. And if I always choose to do good, then that literally means I actually don't have the ability to choose.
I don't see the importance of that. I may not know the explanation.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying. Because from our perspective, you would have to have God jerry-rigging a reality instead of allowing it to actual agency authorship of the free will agent. See, you have to have it's like setting up, like if God was setting up a celestial, dice table, and he set it to where it's truly random and it's really set up to be random, but it will only always come up sixes.
Okay.
All the time. Well, it's not really truly random. It's been jerry-rigged in some way to do that.
I can give you a perfect example. Let's say that you have a parent and she has a kid, okay? Now, she presents this kid with supposedly a choice, but she already knows what this kid is going to choose based off various things. Like she gives the kid a choice between a Snickers bar or a broccoli, right? She already knows what the kid's going to choose. But this choice is something she gave the kid with the purpose of him choosing the candy in the first place, because she already knew that he was going to choose the candy, right? But is that to say that he didn't have the free will decision to not choose the candy?
Yeah, indifference. Actually, what you're actually appealing to is the spectrum of indifference, which actually is evil. Indifference is evil. In fact, indifference, abstaining from judgment, indifference. It's kind of like the same thing of the idea of you in your agency, in your nature, having full capacity to do something right, to do something good, and then you choose not to. In fact, it's that age-old idiom, evil proliferates whenever good men do nothing. Indifference, a lack of action or a lack of doing good fits on the spectrum of indifference, which is actually inside the spectrum of evil.
I don't understand how this is relevant, because in the example, they would be doing good. It's just they...
Well, no, but you say like... Well, let's replace it with the candy bar, because you make it so innocuous where it's not actually a moral decision. Like you should take it into a analogy that actually has a moral implication to it.
But the moral implications are relevant there. It's just about the choice.
I know. That's why it's a bad analogy. That's why I would
that would make it not a bad analogy if it's not relevant. If the critique that you're levying against the analogy isn't relevant, it doesn't make it a bad analogy.
Because there's nothing morally good in any of the universe we're perceiving that choosing a candy bar or not choosing a candy bar has any moral implication.
Moralities are relevant to this.
Well, we are talking about morality because we're talking about the morality of the divine.
example.
Jovan, are you kidding me with this right now?
the example doesn't necessitate
We're starting.
or
We're starting
require
with
anything
the low
to
tier.
do with
We're starting with
morality.
the low tier here tonight. All right, I'm gonna. This is why I don't like these Discord atheists. You know, they spend all their times kind of like making themselves feel validated in these very small, tiny echo chamber environments, and they come in and say things like this.
I haven't
yield
been
for a second.
insulting at all this entire time.
Yeah, good
All
for
right,
you.
so
dude.
let's
Great.
move on. So Javon, I asked you a question. What is your response to my question?
Could you refresh my mind? I think the question was,
said,
how does it?
This world make God not all the qualities that he is?
Okay, again, so if there is evil present in the world, I take that to contradict with there being an all-powerful, all-knowing, perfectly good God. Because I've already the problem is I've already laid this out to you, and I already answered the question. So now I would want you to actually like critique the response.
Well, I'll respond by saying this, and Sim, you can add to whatever I'm gonna say myself. But I would just simply say this: God made and created this world for us to have choice between good and evil, right? God being good, and then sin being the root cause of evil. God programmed it that way. Ultimately, we have to choose Jesus Christ for our salvation. I do not see how God allowing there to be evil, which we do ourselves with our sinful nature and our choice, because no one is forced to do evil. We just do evil because we want to do evil. We have the ability not to, but we still choose to do evil. And God gave us that free will and that free choice. And so I don't understand your stance, Javon, and saying that God is less than what we believe that he is, because he allows a world where we have this kind of choice. So that is where I disagree with you. Like you're speaking about a world where, I wish it were this way, or if the world would have to be that way. I'm saying the world isn't that way. We have a world that's like this. And I wouldn't say that this world that we're in right now makes God less than what he is. Sim, anything you want to say before you want to respond?
That was perfect. Like, I just want to see his response to that, because that's really that's the best way to explain it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, does God, I guess
it just boils down to whether or not. Well, so it boils down to like God made the choice. It's not that like this just incidentally happens, right? So when we say that it's logically possible that there's a world in which every free will person makes a decision that's free and it's good, then we're saying that God made an active decision to not choose that world and choose some other world, right? That has to be the case if it's logically possible.
Go ahead.
If it's logically possible, and if that's the case, that God could choose that world, then he actually did choose a world that wasn't the world in which there was no evil, then that contradicts necessarily with an all good being, because an all good being is going to be defined as a being which chooses a world in which is maximally good. That's just what it means to say he's an all good being.
I just think that's your interpretation, because Javon, let me respond, because for me, I would say a loving God gives me a world where I have the option to choose between.
You do have the option.
Now, hold on, Javon. Now, I know you made the argument about choosing with good and still a possibility.
Think about the mother example. Did you not have a decision between the apple and the orange if she knows that you're going to choose the orange?
But again, that doesn't show me that God is less than because he created this world, right? That God could have created anything,
but
right?
No, let's just deal with the example. Just remember that. Let's just stick with that. Okay. Is it the case that you did not have free will because your mother knew that you were going to pick the orange or the apple, and she presented you a choice between the orange and the apple?
I have free will, but
right. So her knowledge and her power to give you those and give you that decision did not affect your free will decision, right?
When God created Adam and Eve, he did not expect them to eat the fruit, though.
Well, he did expect because he knew it.
No, he didn't expect them. He created them to be perfect and to live according to his will. That's not his will for him.
Are you
For
saying
them
that he
to-
didn't know that they were going to do
God
it?
didn't predestine Adam and Eve to eat the fruit.
Well,
God,
I think this is a side
No,
note, but I think you're saying that just contradicts his omniscience.
no, because God didn't. So God didn't predestine Adam and Eve to eat the fruit. God
Yeah.
knew foreknowledge what would happen ultimately, but he didn't predestine them to do it. They did it on their own free will. They ate the fruit on their own free will. So
Mm.
God created them with a purpose of, serving him, etc. However, God didn't predestine them to fail. They did so on their own
Well,
fruition.
you would agree, but you would agree that if I know something's going to happen, then I would also expect that
That's
to
just a
happen.
quality. That's just the quality of God. That is an
But
interference.
no, you but to some said that you can't. He didn't expect it to happen. But then,
Well, it wasn't.
if I know something's going to happen, then you're going to expect it to happen. Would you not?
Well, it wasn't his. It wasn't his. It wasn't his will, right? Again,
But I would expect it to happen, right?
he knew that it would happen because he has foreknowledge.
But he
Then he
didn't.
would-
Yeah,
so
but
he
he
would
didn't
expect it
create
to
them.
happen.
He didn't create them for it to happen.
That wasn't.
Right, that's fine. If that's what you mean by expect, but he
Listen,
just
just
didn't.
listen to what I'm saying.
He didn't create for them. He created them with free will, and then he put that.
Javon, he didn't.
Good.
Javon, listen, he didn't predestine them to do that. If that makes sense.
If that's what you mean by expect, that's fine. I just take expect and meant something else, and that's perfectly fine if you meant something else. That is no
Now
issue.
God has foreknowledge, and that's different from
I
predestination.
do think that to say that he didn't predestine it's also going to be a little weird because again, even if it's the case that you have a free will decision, he still knows what you're going to choose, does he
Go
not?
ahead, Smokey.
Can I just try it a different way? Is it possible for the all-powerful God to create a reality where he didn't author their decision one way or the other? Like he didn't put things in reality that would make sure they did one thing or the other? Could he create a reality where the agent has full autonomy of the decision without any direct influence from him jerry-rigging or altering reality to make sure one conclusion ended up happening? Could he do that? Could he create a reality like that?
I don't understand. I just take free will to be that they do have full autonomy, unless you
okay. So he wouldn't.
Will,
yeah, no, I'm saying they do, which is why he wouldn't do anything in reality to make sure change reality to alter their free will, so that they wouldn't exercise their free will to do what their free will wanted them to do. Like I don't know.
Did you say that again?
So think about it this way: God cleverly placed a rock 10 trillion years ago or whatever, and that rock happened to be something that Adam stubbed his toe on, and Eve took all day taking care of him and never went into the garden to meet the snake. God could have. The argument is that God didn't do anything inside to jerry-rig reality to alter their choice, but gave them the free opportunity and exercise.
No, that's not the argument.
If they chose to do, just let me finish, I'll let you respond. So if they chose to go against God, if they chose to eat of the tree, he wasn't just going to show up and stop them, because what is the point of giving someone free will if you're going to stop them the moment they exercise it? You might as well create a reality of mindless robots. Go ahead.
He's never stopping them from creating much like I've already got the agreement from JP, but Smokey's saying, do you agree that in the example with the mother who knows what you're going to choose and presents you an option between something, and then you choose the thing that she knows you were going to choose, does that in any way influence your free will decision, or in any way make it such that you don't have free will?
That would be a modal scope fallacy. That's simply the knowledge.
That's not a modal scope fallacy.
Well, if the knowledge of the choice, if you're saying the knowledge,
you're saying that would be
dictates,
if you did that. So you agree, right? So you agree that that's not
correct.
Right.
Yes.
So much in the same case that God can make the decision to present you with options, that knowing that you'll choose a particular way, to just never present you with the bad option that you would choose. And in this world, then you would always have chosen a good option.
Yeah, another way of what Jovan is saying is that God preserves his...
I understand what he's saying, Danny. And Javon, I understand what you're saying. But what I am telling you is that's not what we have here. I think Doré said it.
And that's the problem. That's why I'm an atheist. That's why I can't believe in that God.
But Javon, now we're playing ring around the rosy, because I already told you that I don't see God as being less than because he created this world this way with the option to do bad. Yeah, there's orange, there's an apple,
I
and
don't
there's
know what you mean by less than, though. All I'm saying is that
less
that
than
thing
by all
doesn't
the things you
exist.
said. Nah,
That thing doesn't
hold on.
exist.
Well, Javon, you asked me a question.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's all good. Less than, you said all knowing, all powerful, all good, etc. Right? So you said that God. So when I say less than, assume all of those things. Okay, cool.
Wait, can you just give me the three things? What can you just give me my
All knowing, all powerful, good.
And what's the problem with all three of
I'm
those
saying that God is not less than these things because of the current world that we're in, where
But
I have.
I don't think you should look at it that way. What Jovan is saying is that if God's going to create something, given those properties, there shouldn't be any defects. It's not like we're not saying that God is lesser. We're saying that the fact that the creation has defects, that's the problem, given what we know about God's properties, right, Jovan?
yes.
But Javon, we're living in a world, and what I'm saying is we live in a world where these things. So this is the ring around the rosy method. I'm saying we live in a world where these things are the way that they are. There is evil, right? But God gave us the remedy to that through Jesus Christ. He sent his only begotten Son to die on the cross for all of our sins. Whoever believeth in him should not perish, right?
So right, but if you
So let me finish off by saying this. So there was decision that we made, even if we go back to the tree, right? The tree of knowledge of good and evil, right? The fruit, right? God didn't preordain these people to eat those things. They ate it, right? They ate it. And that was a decision. They had the perfect world. I made this argument to Danny already. Adam and Eve were in the perfect, best world. Some scholars even argue and say that the fruit was in other places, that they even had the same fruit in other places. God specifically told them not to eat that fruit. Had they not eaten that fruit, the world that this whole world with no death and none of that stuff and no evil, it would have been there, but they ate the fruit, right? So you're saying God should have made a Garden of Eden without the fruit, right? That they couldn't have chosen that fruit because it was never there. But guess what? God allowed the fruit to be there, and now we got to deal with what we have. And I don't say this, and again, Javon, you're going to give me your same argument. So maybe we can move on to something else, because I'm just simply going to say I don't believe living in this world makes God less than all the things that we mentioned before, Javon. So do you want to make another argument? Because we've been playing ring around the world.
Yeah, I can make another, but let me just hit on this real quick.
Go ahead. You could close this out.
So then it's the case that I presented you with a particular argument, and I presented how these things were problems, and all I've gotten so far were like agreements on the particular ideals behind each individual premise.
Well, Javon, I'm just telling you what.
And if I've gotten no, that's fine. But if I've gotten agreements on each of the individual premises, then and you haven't shown a problem with the inference, then that just necessitates that the argument follows, and that this God cannot exist. And when you say something like we live in this world, so we got to deal with it. That's what I'm saying when I'm saying I'm an atheist. I live in the world, and I can't believe in this particular God because
that doesn't prove God doesn't exist. I already told you why we live in the world.
This argument demonstrates to me and convinces me.
I'm not here.
Given that it's valid and sound, that particular definition doesn't exist.
I disagree that it's sound. It actually has a hidden presupposition that he can't possibly justify.
What is that?
Inside it, which is that the reality that we have here isn't the reality that leads to the ultimate and absolute best possible good.
That's not a hidden. That's not a hidden precept. That's what. That's just one of the premises. Is that this isn't the
it's not a premise.
There's evil that exists.
Hold on. But you can't know. This is the problem. You can't know, nor can you present an argument, at least that I've seen, that you can know that this reality that exists is not what's leading to the ultimate.
I've already demonstrated that with the logical possible worlds.
No, you haven't. No, you haven't. All you've done is say it should be like this because I feel that this would be more moral. But
I never said feel. No, I never once said anything about. I never once said anything about what I think is more moral.
Okay, dude, it is feel. Because you don't have an argument in a conclusionary census of how that would lead to the ultimate best reality. Well, no. No, again, you don't have an argument as to how your reality that you say God could have created ultimately leads conclusionarily to a better reality than the reality we have. You just assume that. You just accept it axiomatically. And I'm saying that's a premise we're not going to agree with, because we do believe that basically this is the best of all potential realities to manifest the absolute.
Well, I can just
best
ask you a
possible
simple
good.
question, then. Do you think that a reality, let's just take one individual bad thing that happened, the Kyle Rittenhouse shooting. Do you think there'd be a better reality in which that shooting didn't happen?
Not
If it's everything
necessarily.
else,
No.
everything else is the
No,
same.
no,
but that
not
shooting,
necessarily at all, because he
people
actually
didn't die.
shot. He actually, dude, not necessarily. One of the people he
Oh,
shot
so you're
was
gonna
a
say there's
convicted.
something that good comes out of this? Okay, let me
Excuse
change
me.
it. Let me
Do you
change
want
it.
an
I'm sorry.
answer or not? Do you want an
No.
answer or not?
No, but
You
you're gonna
don't
say
want an
because
answer.
something good came out of it. So let's just
Yes,
take.
that is an ultimate highest good. If
No, that's
Rosenbaum
fine.
went
That's
on,
fine.
excuse me. I'll use your example. If Rosenbaum, the guy that he shot, would have gone on and molested another dozen children, yeah, I would say that that was an optimum good that he was shot that day. Okay, see, and that's the thing. You can't know any conclusionarily state of affairs because you don't have omniscience and you don't have middle knowledge. So you can't claim to know that this reality is not the state of affairs that
Well,
leads
we
to
don't
the
want to
highest
go
and
with the we
ultimate
don't
best
know.
good.
We
Well,
don't want to go
it's
with
your
the
unsupported, unsubstantiated premise
no.
that you're trying to smuggle into your argument that we're not going to accept either.
No,
So you want to
part of
claim
the
that your
premise
epistemology is so sound to support that you don't believe this. I'm saying it lacks a key point of reference to help us in order to justify that your
one of the
alteration of
premises-
reality would ultimately lead to a higher, best possible ultimate good, which I don't think
One
you
of the
have an argument.
premises was literally evil exists. That was one of the premises. It wasn't hidden. It was
Okay.
explicit. I said that was one of the premises. Now, nobody denied the premise, right? Everyone admits that evil exists. Do we not? Does anyone here deny that evil exists?
That's not the premise I'm contending with, dude.
You said that was a hidden premise.
I said
evil
maybe
in this world.
No, I said the premise is that in a reality that has evil, you automatically judge that that reality can't possibly be the reality that leads to the ultimate and best
because there's a logical.
You just won't even want to let me finish, Jovan. You know why? Because you just want to
interrupting me too, man.
Well, guys,
Okay.
we got 16. We have 16
All right,
more
you
minutes.
know what? I yield.
I'm scheduled to do something else, so we have 16 more minutes. So, you know, if you guys want to move on to the next argument, you guys can let me know.
Let me just say, all right, whatever. Well, let me just say this. So
you're an obfuscator, Jovan. I know that's what you are. You like to try and conceal the implications of the failures of your logic. You know what the premise was.
Well, I
you
thought you said you were
validated
yielding.
it, and now you're repeating it differently than what it was that you were objecting to. You know what you're doing.
You said you were yielding.
Well,
again, we demonstrated by showing that there is a logical possible world in which evil didn't exist and everyone had free will. Thank you.
That wouldn't necessarily be the best of all possible worlds leading to the best of all possible good.
So you think a world in which no evil exists is less good than a world in which evil exists?
There would be lots of implications to that would create problems, including a relationship dynamic with the creation. So yes, that would not be the reality with the best of all possible good. I know you don't. I know you don't, which is why you have such a faulty premise worked in that does not convince us. Because it requires you to say,
do you have any arguments?
I know if God created this reality different, this would all implications, all things considered, lead to the best possible reality, a higher moral reality. You can't know that because you can't even follow all the implications of the things and shifts in reality that you would alter, including
give me a problem with my
that
reasoning.
you wouldn't be able to have a real relationship with the entity unless the entity was capable of the choice of going into.
Look, this is how I understand Jovan, right? Jovan, let's just take something.
Just real quick. So if a priority of reality for an ultimate and highest best good is for the divine to be able to build a relationship, there's a certain set of constraints that have to be hardwired in order for that relationship to actually exist. You demand an alteration of reality that tweaks that relationship and validates God's ability to have that actual relationship with us that he's built here, therefore negate what we see as the ultimate and highest best good of reality, which allows for evil to exist.
Yeah, I think the way I'm understanding Jovan is if you take any evil event, we should agree on, that there's some of evil event. Let's use the stereotypical, the cliche Holocaust example. Okay. We all agree that it was evil. It would have been better. The world would have been better without that kind of atrocity. Now, what Jovan is saying is that
Would
there
it?
Well, that's what we're about to get to. The idea is that there's a world in which everything else remains unchanged except the Holocaust and the surrounding events in World War II. That's to say, everything that happened after World War II and after the Holocaust still occurred, right? So nothing would go unchanged. We would say that that's the better world. I think that, and if we were not to say that, then we're just saying that the Holocaust was a good thing.
Maybe if the Holocaust didn't happen, Hitler would have succeeded in taking over the world. And
But remember what I
eradicating all the
stipulated. I
Jews.
stipulated that everything that after remained the same. So Hitler lost the war.
Yeah, but that's an impossible state of affairs.
The contradiction.
It's an impossible state of affairs.
Right. So what's the contradiction?
The idea is that you could change some massive thing about reality, and there would be no actual implications or follow through.
That's not. You didn't give a. You have to give a P and not P. I don't see a P and not P.
So okay. Holocaust happens. Reality and everyone's decisions focus around the idea they've lost family members. You know, they can't be around each other. It changes dynamics of geography. It gives justification for the formulation of Israel. It puts Hitler on the radar of all of the nations to attack him. And you're saying, well, all of that could happen in another reality.
That could happen without the Holocaust.
Yeah, I don't buy that, Danny. I'm sorry.
I don't see a contradiction.
I see the contradiction in the idea if something different happens, it's a cause and effect. If a different cause than the cause that happened caused the effect, if there was a different cause, there would be a different effect. I don't know why.
No. See, that's the flaw there. That cause and effect aren't logical. They're not logically entailing, right? If a ball rolls down, is dropped from a certain height and it kills someone, that's a cause and effect. That doesn't mean that there's not a world in which the ball fell without killing someone.
Wait, I'm not.
So the idea is that a cause won't ever logically necessitate its effect.
So, but Danny, can I interject?
Yeah, we can think about multiple things that could have caused that thing.
Just think about here, Smokey, if you don't mind.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Danny, this is a very strange world that you talk of, right? Like, essentially, look, the way that our world is structured is how Smokey said, right? There is cause and effect. For every action, there is a reaction. For every action, there is a consequence. And everybody's coming in the chat room now that we're leaving. Adrian, Seth, I hope you guys are doing well. But I'm starting another stream after this with my guest Sim, because Sim is a good friend of mine. So I'm doing.
Mine too.
Yes, Adrian, my friend as well.
Adrian.
And Seth is an atheist, so.
No, that's fine. I mean, Seth came in.
Why would you add Seth?
No, but Seth came in a little bit too late, man. But you can hang around. But I'm ending this in 10 more minutes for a complete hour. But I'll just say this: the world in which we live, for every action, there's a reaction. There's effects for all of what we do. I don't want to live in your world, Danny.
But nobody's saying that. But nobody.
Let me finish, please. I don't want to live in this robotic world where every single, it's almost like if my actions don't meet. This is just a weird world. It's not a realistic world, It's almost like God should have created a world where our actions don't mean anything. That's what it sounds like to me. And essentially we're robots, right? In a world where robots programmed and we don't have the option. The reason we could truly love God is because we have an option to do good or to do evil. God is good, and if we reject God, we reject his goodness. We reject his love. The opposite of God is hell. And so either you do good or you do bad, and that is how you truly choose to ultimately obey God, by choosing him or rejecting him. Yeah. In a world, let me just finish this, my last sentence. In a world where we cannot reject God because everything is good and there is no opportunity to reject God, that's not true love. That's a robotic creation that operates with batteries.
Do you believe in heaven?
My last sentence, and I said that already, sorry. True love is being able to reject God and choosing not to.
Do you believe in heaven?
Created, I have no ability to reject God because I can only do the good, and in that case, I am simply a robot.
You don't want to say God is a robot, though.
That was a run-on sentence, Mo.
Hey,
if
man,
we
I
if we
know.
were robots, we would be sitting here today on a debate. We would be saying, well, if God is so perfect, if God's ways are so good, then why does he create us to be like this? Why don't we have a world where we can literally choose, evil? Like it just
So,
it
do
don't
you
make no
guys
sense.
believe? Do you
It's
guys
like
believe in
it's
heaven?
like atheists, people who don't believe in God, they just always find a way to just be angry at God. Like same way, if we lived in this world that you speak of, you would probably be criticizing God in another way. Like if we were
Do you,
created to be
Well,
robots.
Sim, I would
wait, but
push back
do
on
you
that.
guys believe in heaven? Do you guys believe in
Yeah,
heaven?
hold on, Seth. Let me let you go real quick. But Sim, I would disagree with that because in their world, they'd be robots who simply just do good and they have no option to do bad.
I'm not saying this is my world. I don't want that
No,
world.
I'm saying in a world that Danny was speaking of, where it's just good, 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 good.
But
We're
you keep
robots.
saying one as if
I
like
don't think
that's the
so. I
world
don't
we
think that's
desire.
true. Wait, let me
But
just say this really.
Well,
I don't
that's
think.
just the way I see it. But Seth, saying,
Yeah, we'd have to develop it, but I don't see it
okay.
that way.
I mean, we'll talk about this some other
Right,
time.
that's fine.
Yeah.
We have 7 more minutes. So Seth, was that Seth or Javon?
well, that was Jovan. Yeah, but so do you guys believe in heaven?
Yes.
In
Is
heaven,
there free will in heaven, right?
do you sin in heaven?
I knew you were gonna go with that. So, bro, we choose Jesus Christ as our personal savior. If we die, we won't have the ability to sin in heaven because we will be
So you
regenerated.
agree then that free will doesn't require?
Let me finish why we won't sin in heaven. We'll be regenerated and we won't have our sinful nature.
And the
That's
devil
fine.
will be
That's fine.
will be in the place of the lake of fire.
So all you're saying,
So
there's
there's no devil in heaven. There's no there's no devil to whisper in your ear.
right. So all you're saying is that it's not logically, well, it's logically possible that you have free will and you don't sin. That God,
Yes.
and God could have created you such that you already didn't sin.
I'm not understanding the question.
God could have created you. There's a possible world in which He just created you such that you didn't sin.
I already said that. That's
Not
not.
If you're not a robot in heaven, you wouldn't be a robot in that scenario.
No.
We decided to go there already.
If you, unless you're telling me that you become a robot in heaven.
No, because in heaven we don't have that nature anymore. You see, God created.
Yeah, you just wouldn't have that nature.
Let me respond, Javon. Let me respond. So on Earth, we have the ability to choose God or not. We have the ability to do evil or good. Once we're in heaven, we now have the fruits of our decision in which we won't sin. I chose to go to heaven and not sin, and God gave me a glorified body. And so heaven is the fruits of my actions when I did have the ability to choose evil. That's all I'm saying.
Amen.
Amen.
You guys can have the last word because we got 5 more minutes. Smokey, anything you want to say?
Yeah, Bible verse. Just share my screen real quick.
All right.
Can a mortal man be in the right before God? Can a man be pure before his Maker? Even in his servants he puts no trust, and his angels he charges with error. How much more those who dwell in houses of clay, whose foundation is in the dust, who are crushed like the moth. Job 4:17 through 19. It's not that you can't exercise free will of rebellion in the heavenly or in a glorified state, in my perspective, but what it means is that you won't, because you will at this point have perfect accountability, knowledge, and also control. And the great thing about the Christian who is glorified is they spent their entire life struggling against sin, that the sense of liberation from it, they will never want to go near it ever again. The beautiful aspect of the Christian free will is that when we get to heaven, we will finally have the free will to do what we've always wanted to do our entire existence, which is to perpetually always choose to not sin and have communion with our holy God, because we will have a state of perfect accountability and perfect awareness and be delivered from a sinful flesh that would persuade us or tempt us. So with that.
Amen. But why was the
Amen.
time before that necessary?
Because you were bringing up the theodicy of the lack of free will in heaven, and I just
No. I'm not asking why the passage was necessary. I'm asking why the time before being in heaven and having that feeling and having that great feeling and being with God and whatever. Why was the time before that necessary?
because we needed
logically
to choose.
necessary.
Because God gave us free will to choose. Like he needed us to choose.
No, I'm
Like-
asking why was the time before you being in heaven necessary?
What?
Yeah, like I said, to choose. Because we
Giovan's
choose.
question
to
is
heaven,
saying
or
this.
we
Look, you have
chose-
two. Look, what
Yeah.
Jovan, let me explain what Jovan is saying. He's saying there was heaven where you could always choose the good, you can't sin, and there was a
That's not true. But I just showed the passage that says that is not true.
Well, then he
Lucifer
said
you
it's
can
rebelled.
sin in
true.
heaven.
A third of the angels rebelled. A whole bunch of angelic creatures rebelled in the Bible. What the
But
heck are you
JP
guys
said that he
talking
can't
about?
sin.
Hold
But
on, hold on, Danny. Just so I'm not misrepresented. Yes, the angels in heaven did have free will. Lucifer had free will. All I'm saying is heaven is a result of what I did with my free will. So you can't take one without the other, right? It's a
So you can sin in
hold
heaven?
on. Now let's talk about hell, right? Hell is also a place where you you know what I'm saying? You might have free will to scream, you know what I'm saying, and move around, but that is a result of what you did on this earth. So me with my free will here on this planet, in heaven, I have a new I would say a new transformation, a new nature, and that is I am now going to heaven where I chose to live that manner.
So can you
Because-
sin?
Huh?
so the question is, can you sin after you die? You're
Can I
going
sin
to
in
go to
heaven?
heaven.
No, because I am using my free will. I am using my free
Mhm.
will now, where I am sinning and I am making mistakes. I am accepting Jesus so that one day I can be in heaven and not have that sinful nature.
Okay,
And
so
not
then,
be able to sin?
so once after,
And not
because of
have
this,
that sinful nature. I won't
Eh.
have the sinful nature.
okay, but we just want a clear answer. After you die, let's say you died today and you go to heaven, in that new place, in that good place, heaven, do you have the capacity to
The
do evil or to sin?
reason that, again, you guys are missing my initial argument. So let me get back to what I said, and then I'm going to be finished here. Maybe we could finish last statements. Smokey, I kind of interrupted you, Smokey. My bad. All right. I'll finish.
I had said my last statement, bro. I yield. I'm good.
Yeah. I'll finish by saying this. And I already said this. For me to truly love God, I need an ability to choose God, not God putting me in a utopia where I will always choose him because I am going to always do good. That is not true love. Now in this planet that we're in, I have the option to do good or to do bad. Once I choose to do good, God will take me up to heaven. When I die, I'll be in heaven, and the fruits of my decision, which I chose Jesus Christ, I will no longer have that sinful nature. So if you guys want this world that you guys are talking about, accept Jesus Christ as a personal savior. So when you die, you'll have this world that you want where you won't do evil. Because I have a sinful nature and I have an option to choose. And there is free will in heaven in the sense that the angels and Lucifer revolted against God and they got handed down because they chose to deny God. And so there is some element of free will. I don't have all the answers there, but what I do know is that we won't have, us human beings, we won't have the option because we won't want to because we don't have that sinful nature.
Seems like you disagree with Smokey then.
Yeah, and well, no, I don't disagree with Smokey. Smokey is right. The angels rebelled, so did Lucifer.
Well, that's not the disagreement. The disagreement is that once after what Smokey believes is that once he dies, when he goes to heaven, the option of sinning is still there. What
And
you believe,
and I can see why Smokey sees it that way because perhaps Smokey sees it, and I don't want to speak for Smokey. Perhaps Smokey sees it as I don't have the sinful nature, but I have the ability to if I wanted to, but I don't have the nature, so I won't do it. That's perhaps how Smokey sees it, right, Smokes?
Yeah, I just wouldn't take it to say it's a necessary impossibility. Like, and I think that's what an atheist argument hinges on, that it's a logical necessary impossibility. And I don't think there's good justification for that
No, it
biblically,
doesn't.
philosophically.
Yeah, I'm just saying that I won't have a sinful nature, and therefore, as a result, I won't sin because I
Okay.
don't have that nature.
Well,
Right, again, but that's perfectly in line with our argument.
It's not in
saying that
line because I already
because-
told you that in order for us to choose God, there needs to be some level of an opportunity to reject God. And if we're in
Well,
that,
that's just a free will
I
decision.
think that we
No,
discussed
it's
this.
not. It's not just the free will decision, Jovan. It's whether or not the agent has the capacity to express love. You just keep over. You guys take the free will theodicy to the absoluteness of the sense that it is just about the free will. It isn't. The free will is a necessary byproduct of the capacity to express true love, because true love must be given freely.
Yeah, but presumably the person's Jesus loves the Father and the Father loves Jesus, and they can't choose otherwise.
Because they have, but that is because that is the essence of their nature.
Why could that kind of
Because then
property?
he would be, I already told you this, Danny, because then they would be replicating gods.
I don't
And
see
that's
why
not,
true.
yes, that is, because then he would replicating someone of his exact same essence. Where
don't see
he
how that
is
follows.
love.
No,
The only
they
way,
just have properties that
hold
God
on.
also
Stop,
has. Much like we do.
The only way you could have the creature expressing love and have it not be a choice would be to make it intrinsically, absolutely part of their nature and their essence, therefore making them be love in a divine simplistic type of way, along with divine simplicity. And if that was the case, that would be God replicating God, which is philosophically incoherent. So I said this last time.
Yeah, I can't make sense of that.
He can't. Okay. Would God be God if he could create a God more powerful than him, Danny? Would he actually be the most powerful?
That's not what he's asking. That's not what he's saying.
But that I'm using it as an analogy to show the constraints of his decisions.
Well, the analogy
what you can perpetrate in reality. So if you want a reality where there is actually love, there's certain necessary things that must be in reality to make sure that can manifest.
It just seems like special pleading.
In what way?
Because you're saying that there's an unknown property of God, that is a property of his nature that makes it such that he can love and not be able to do otherwise. And I don't know what that unknown property is.
The answer is in divine simplicity. It's that he is love. It is of his essence. It is what he is.
Yeah, I guess we would have to talk about that. I'm really not getting it.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you mean?
Yeah,
what is?
it's gonna be. You know what? Actually,
so love is just God now. Is that?
Okay,
Jovan, is it identical?
Jovan, I'll tell you what. I promise you're too slow to follow this. I promise. This is.
I probably am. You're right.
I've had to pull out my hair so much during this time.
Could
Danny,
you just explain it to me slowly?
So
yeah, I will on another stream. On another stream, Danny and I will talk about it, and you're happy to watch. You're welcome.
Yeah. How about you guys coordinate something? Because I'm about to end this here. Jovan, Seth, a pleasure. This won't be the last time we speak. Danny, if you ever host something, you're more than welcome to invite me, and I'll try to come. Smokey, if you create an event, I'll be there for sure. You heard?
Okay, sure, bro.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
That was a good time.
I'll throw an after show or something for whatever you're doing, man.
I have to go. I have to travel for Thanksgiving. This is the J scheduled this in a way where I could have time for this, but I'm gonna have to go.
Danny has to get going. So I was. That's why I was only doing this for an hour. So I'm creating a whole total different thing for my guest Sim. If you do a live or something, I'll keep an eye out and we could coordinate something. Smokey.
Cool, man. Sounds good.
All right.
Nice meeting you, Jovan, Seth, and Danny.
Yes, you have a good night. You too, JP.
Yeah,
Take care, guys. Have a good night.
And Adrian, I don't know you, Adrian.
Oh, humanity.
You have a good night as well.
Yeah, everybody on this live stream, I will be going and making a new live stream. Danny, did you record this live stream, please?
Record this live stream?
Anybody recorded this? Because I wasn't going to keep it on my channel.
Oh, I haven't recorded it.
I didn't record it. No, I could download it later.
Do you want me to record it? I mean, I can just download it and then you can take it off in an hour.
I'm going to delete this. Let me know when you downloaded it so that everybody could have a copy. I'm assuming I want copies. Jovan, Seth, Smokey.
Sure.
Okay.
I don't care.
Yeah, I'll download it. Yeah, I'll download it.
Yes.
Right.
Sim.
Oh, Preach the Word Ministries. He asked if I'm in the UK. Yes, I'm in the UK right now.
Oh, you're responding to a comment.
Yeah.
Smokey, so you want a copy, correct?
Yeah, I'll take one. Yeah, I'll download it.
So this could be
I'll
just
download
exclusive to your channel. So maybe Danny and you can coordinate and you both can upload it to your respective channels.
Yeah, sounds good, man.
It'll be exclusive to your channels, all right?
Awesome. Sounds great. Cool.
All right.
What time is the next live, JP?
Huh?
What time is the next one? Next live?
In 10 minutes. In 10 minutes.
Okay, let's.
Okay, so in 10 minutes, everybody, me and Sim will take phone calls. We'll have dialogues. We'll fellowship. I'll open the chats. Anybody can come in here. So in 10 minutes, make sure to get here. All right.
Amen.